Good afternoon, Fantasy Bay. Mike Williams here with another Week 9 game preview. And today we're going to be going over the Vikings versus Chiefs. Let's get it started. So the over-under for this game is 48.5, and the spread is -2 for the Chiefs. We're going to be starting with the Vikings, though. Kirk, Mr. Cousins. He had a great NFL game last week. Seriously, great NFL game. 26 attempts, 23 completions. That's very solid. 285 yards, also very solid. The problem was he didn't have any touchdowns. We play fantasy football, and touchdowns are king in fantasy football. If you added another 2 touchdowns to his score, my man had 23 fantasy points. He had a good game. But you know what? When you don't score touchdowns, you get in the red zone, you have the opportunity, you just don't convert. Tough cookies. And I, just like all of you, play fantasy football, and I picked him up off the waivers, and I thought he was going to be a good play. I was wrong. He played well, just not touchdowns. But that doesn't discourage me moving forward. I'm not going to just knock him off and think that he's just bad now. I think that he's good. I just think that he didn't score, and that's how football works sometimes. I have him as a top 10 play this week. All right, so now we're going to go to the wide receiving core. So Adam Thielen has been dinged up. He was out last week. I'm interested to see how the injury report comes up because I think there's a chance he could play this week, so keep an eye on that. Stephon Diggs. Everybody knew that he was going to step up after Adam Thielen stepped out. 7 for 7 for 143 yards. Very, very solid. He did have an ugly-looking fumble towards the beginning of the game, but, you know, everybody makes mistakes. He still got you 20 fantasy points. I have him as a top 10 play this week. All right. Next is Dalvin Cook, who has been playing like a beast. My man is number 2 on the year in fantasy points for the running back position at 20.5. He went 5 for 6 on his targets. He had 98 yards on the ground off of 23 rushes and a touchdown. My man is good. I have him as a top 2 running back this week. Love him. Play him. Alexander Madison, 8 fantasy points. 13 rushes for 61 yards. 13 rushes is a solid amount of rushes for a backup. So watch out for him. I actually think that he should be on rosters, man. If anything happens to Dalvin Cook, he is just going to be a beast. I'm not starting Kyle Rudolph. I don't care what anyone says. The Vikings, I actually think are going to be a good play this week. Unfortunately, the Chiefs don't have Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not a huge believer in Moore. I don't think that he's bad. I think he's a solid backup quarterback, but that's what he is, a backup quarterback. So I think the Vikings are a very good defense, and I think that they have a field day. The last 4 games, 15, 4, 12, 15. For a defense, they're averaging 11.5 points in the last 4 games. That's really good. So I'm digging the Vikings defense against the Patrick Mahomes-less Chiefs. So let's get on over to the Chiefs. Matt Moore had a pretty solid game. 22 fantasy points, 267 yards, 2 touchdowns. Last week I was saying that I don't think that the value of the wide receivers and running backs and tight ends are just going to drop off of a cliff. I think they're going to drop down, of course, because you don't have an MVP-type caliber quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. But that's not to say that Matt Moore can't fill the job. I still think he does a fine job, but I just don't think that he's Mahomes. All right, Tyreek Hill, still a beast. Start him, obviously. I don't need to go into too many stats with him. You're obviously starting him. Sammy Watkins is one of those fringe players, but I think that he was targeted 8 times for 5 receptions. He's a talented wide receiver. I think that that's actually going to be fine. The Vikings are decent. Vikings are okay against the running back. They're the 10th worst. They allow the 10th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. Hopefully I can figure out how to speak today. Allowing 25.1 fantasy points to wide receivers. I'm really only trusting him and Tyreek Hill. And I loosely use the word trust, by the way. I don't really trust him. He's a startable player. I don't trust Sammy Watkins. I can never trust Sammy Watkins. Damian Williams, man, how the mighty have fallen. Everybody drafted him in the top 4 rounds, at least, if not top 3. Very disappointing year this year. Very disappointing. And the Vikings are very good against the running back. So I'm not expecting him or LaShawn McCoy to have great games. I think LaShawn McCoy is a running back 3. And I think that Damian Williams is fighting for a flex spot at this point. And Travis Kelce, you're going to play him. Let's be real. Let's be honest. I don't even need to get into that. And I'm definitely not playing the Chiefs defense. So that's going to wrap it up, Fantasy Bay. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. And if you have a question, hit me up. Mike Williams, Fantasy Bay. I'm out.